This is SREB, Ready for High School Math, Lesson 2.3a on solving multi-step equations. So now we've covered solving one step and we've covered solving two step. So now we're going to cover multi-step, okay? And this multi-step is just going to mean more than just two steps, okay? So let's talk about the process we need to go through. So first step, we are going to remove all parentheses using the distributive property. Remove all the parentheses using the distributive property. So just like with order of operations, we want to get rid of those parentheses, those groups first, to help us really see what all we actually do have. Okay, so distributive property, so that's going to be in a case of where we have something maybe like 2 times x minus 3 equals 5. Okay, so this is kind of an early example. So if we're going to use that distributive property, the first thing we want to do is anytime we have a number that is in front of our parentheses, okay? Or basically just anytime there's a number in front of parentheses and there's no sign, just like how whenever we have 2x by itself, we know this to be multiplication. In this case, this is also going to be multiplication. We would take this 2 and multiply it to everything in the parentheses. Not everything in the whole equation, just everything in the parentheses. So after we use the distributive property, this would give us 2x minus 6 equals 5. Okay, and we saw this a little bit yesterday with our combining like terms activity. And another case would be if there's not a number in front of parentheses, but let's say you have a negative sign. Let's say this is maybe y plus 5 equals, 6. Well, now in this case, if there's just a negative sign, you still have something to distribute. This would still be a negative 1 that you would be distributing to everything in the parentheses, and this will give you negative y minus 5 equals 6. Okay, so distributive property, there's a number or a negative sign, or if there's a combination, even if it's just negative 3 times x plus 3, then you would still distribute the negative 3. So anytime there's a number or a negative sign in front, distribute it first. Okay, next step, once we've done all that, we should just have something x plus a number on both sides maybe. So we're going to add all of our like terms on each side of the equal sign. Okay, so we're going to take everything on the left side and any of that is like terms, we're going to go ahead and combine that. Okay, and anything on the right side, any of those that are like terms, we're going to go ahead and combine those. Okay, step 3, if there are variable terms on both sides of the equal sign, then we use opposites to move one variable term over to the other. Okay, so this is stating that we have variables on both sides. They have the same variable on both sides, okay? So an example could be something like 2x minus 1 equals 5x, okay? So in the past, we've been dealing with just having x's on one side of the equation, but here we've got them on two sides of the equation. So in order for us to get this thing simplified and be able to fully solve for x, we need to get all of our x's over to one side. Now, it does not really matter which side you move it to. It's really just kind of up for preference for you. For this example, just so we only have to move just one thing, since I have a negative 1 on this side, I'm going to get the x away over here, okay? Because I'm going to want all of my constants on one side and all my variables on the other. So to get the 2x over to the other side, to undo positive 2x, I need to subtract 2x. So that it'll cancel out over here, and I'll be left with negative 1 equals 5x minus 2x, which is 3x. So we want to get all of our variables on one side of the equation. Okay? So once we do that, we should now have a two-step equation at best. Should have a two-step equation at best that remains by removing the constant and then dividing the coefficient of the variable. Okay? So in order to do that, basically, if we still have a constant on the same side as the x, then we're going to move it over by either adding or subtracting. And then at that point, we should just have number is equal to something times x. So in order to undo that times, we will then divide. And then one thing to note is that we're never going to leave a side of the equation as empty, okay? So even if we move everything away from one side of the equation, we're still going to put that we have a 0 there, okay? So we're never going to leave our equation looking like 3x equals blank, okay? Even if there was nothing over here to start with here, let me say if we had maybe 6x equals 3x. Then to get this 3x over here, we would need to subtract 3x so that they would cancel out over here, and we get 6x minus 3x is 3x equals something. But this is still something. It'd be a 0. So we always want to make sure that if for some reason everything else we got rid of, we always want to put a 0 in its place. All right, so let's look at a couple of examples. Okay, let's look at a couple of examples. All right, so example 1. We have 5 equals 5m minus 23 plus 2m. All right, so don't have any parentheses, so you ain't got to worry about that step. So what we can first do is we need to look for like terms that are on the same side of the equal sign. Okay, so we cover up this first side. All we've got is 5, so we're good there. Cover up the other side. We got 5m minus 23 plus 2m. So anything that is a like term, we need to combine together, okay? So anything that has got a variable that has the same type of variable, okay? So in this case, I've got an m for both. I can add those together, okay? So I've got positive 5m plus 2m, and that's going to give me an overall 7m. So I'm going to rewrite my statement. 5 is equal to 7m minus 23. Okay. All right, so now from here, I want to get my variable alone. Okay, so I've got all of my variable terms on one side, don't have any m's over here. So I want to get all of my constants over to the other side. Okay, so I've got 7m minus 23. To undo minus 23, I need to do the opposite and add 23. So when I do that, I'll get 5 plus 23 is equal to 28. 7m, and the 23s will cancel out over here. So I'm left with 28 equals 7m. So now lastly, to get the m alone, we have 7 times m, so we're going to undo that by dividing. And so when we do that, we are going to get 4 is equal to m. And then we want to go back through and we want to check and make sure that our answer is right. So we're going to take this 4 equals m, and we are going to now plug it in to my original equation and see if I get a true statement, a statement that makes sense. So 5 is equal to 5 times 4 minus 23 plus 2 times 4. All right, let's work this out. So 5 will be equal to, okay, so using order of operations, we get 5 times 4 is 20 minus 23 plus 2 times 4 is 8. 5 will equal 20 minus 23. That's going to give me negative 3 plus 8. And then I wind up with 5 equals 5. And this is a true statement that makes sense. So m will equal 4. Okay. Number 2. 2x plus 7 equals 5x minus 14. Okay, so again, we don't have any parentheses. Don't have to worry about that distributing step. But what we can start doing, okay? So on the left-hand side, 2x plus 7, I don't have any like terms. I'm good there. On the right-hand side, 5x minus 14, don't have any like terms there, so I'm good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving all of my x's to one side because I've got x's on the left and I've got x's on the right. So it doesn't matter which side you move them to. Me personally, I always like having my variables on the left if it's less work for me. So in this case, it doesn't really matter which way I go. So I'm going to take the 5x and I'm going to move it over here to be on the left-hand side. So I have positive 5x right here. To undo that, I'm going to subtract 5x. And anything I do to one side, I need to do to the other side. So 2x minus 5x will give me negative 3x plus 7 is equal to negative 14. Okay, so don't forget that subtraction sign still means that's a negative 14. All right, so now got all the constants on the left side. Now I'm going to take all of my, got all the variables on the left side. Now I'm going to take all the constants and move them to the other side. So I've got negative 3x plus 7. To undo plus 7, I'm going to subtract 7. So I'll get negative 3x, 7 so cancel out, is equal to negative 14 minus 7. Make sure when you type this in the calculator, it's negative 14 minus 7. Okay, this is a negative 7, but it's negative because of the minus sign. So you don't have to add an extra negative. You just type it in just like this. Negative 14 minus 7 will give you negative 21. And then to finish it off, we have negative 3 times x equals negative 21. So to get the x alone, we're going to undo multiplication by negative 3 by dividing by negative 3. And so we'll get that x is equal to 7. Okay, let's keep on working. Number 3, negative 7 plus 12x is equal to 7 minus 2x plus 14. All right, first up, do we have any parentheses in here? We don't. Okay, so next step, we look at each side of the equation and we see if there's any like terms that I can add together on that side. So I have negative 7 plus 12x, can't add those together. I have 7 minus 2x plus 14. Well, I can take this 7 and this 14 and I can add them together. So when I do that, I'm going to put my variable in the front. So minus 2x, that means negative 2x. And then positive 7 plus 14 will give me plus 21. So negative 7 plus 12x is equal to negative 2x plus 21. All right, now we want to take all of our variables and make sure they are on the same side of the equation. So I have 12x over here, negative 2x over here. I'm going to take this negative 2x and put it on the left-hand side. So to undo negative 2x, I need to add 2x. So when I do this, I get negative 7 plus 12 plus 2x is 14x. This will be equal to now 21 because these will cancel out. All right, now we're going to take all the constants, move them to the other side. So I have negative 7. So to undo negative 7, I'm going to add 7. This will cancel out. I get 14x is equal to 28. Okay, and then to finish it out, I'm going to undo 14 times x by dividing by 14. Cancel out over here, and x will equal 2. All right, number 4. We have 4 minus 1/3 r minus 9 is equal to 2. All right, so this one's a little bit different because now we can actually go through and do that step 1, okay? So that step 1 was if there's any parentheses, get rid of them using distributive property. So we have parentheses right here, r minus 9. So we want to get rid of that parentheses by using the distributive property. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the number that is multiplying to the parentheses and we're going to distribute it in. Now, at first glance, it looks like we've just got regular old 1/3, but we got to look at the sign in front of the 1/3, okay? So if it's a plus sign right here, we're distributing just 1/3. But with it being a negative sign right here, we will be distributing negative 1/3. Okay, so if it's just a plus sign, positive 1/3, but when it's a negative, it's still going to be a negative 1/3. So we'll get 4, we'll rewrite that. We take negative 1/3 times r, and that's just going to give me negative 1/3 r or minus 1/3 r. We take negative 1/3 times negative 9. Negative times a negative will give me a positive. And whenever I multiply a fraction to a whole number like this, it's as if I'm multiplying it as to negative 1/3 times negative 9 over 1. And whenever I multiply two fractions, I multiply the tops together. So this would be negative 1 times negative 9 will give me positive 9. And then that'll be 3 over 1 is equal to 2. Okay, so I got rid of the parentheses. Now, alternatively, you could also go ahead and simplify this. So this would be 4 minus 1/3 r plus 3, because 9 over 3 is just 3, equals 2. I'll pick up this problem in the next video.